Hello fellow artists, Mr. Hendrick here. In today's video we'll be looking at how to draw a sphere and how to add shading to that sphere using nothing but a pencil. Alright, so get out your art supplies and let's get started. Okay, in this video I'm going to show you guys and girls how to take a circle and make it look like a sphere, make it look three-dimensional using some tonal shading. Alright, so for today's drawing, you can definitely use a regular pencil. If you happen to have any fancy sketching pencils, I'll be using a 6B. For shading, you can use a stump or a blending stick, or a tissue, or even your own finger. I also grabbed an eraser too, to kind of add some highlights and to fix any edges I might need. Okay, so the first thing, you need to draw a circle. Now, if you're having trouble drawing a circle, you can definitely take something to trace if you need to. So, I'm going to start with a circle here. Alright, so with this circle, there's a couple of things you need to know. There's going to be the light source. So for me, my light is coming from the top right and coming down. So basically that means is as the light source is coming this way, this area will be the lightest. I'm going to do a very, very, very light circle. You don't even have to even draw the circle. I just want to show you what it looks like. So, what we need to do is we need to look at this sphere here and kind of figure out as it gets closer to the bottom left, it will be getting darker. So if I were to make some bands or lines curved around the sphere, you'll see that this will be my lightest area, and it'll slowly get darker and darker and darker and darkest. Okay, so let's start shading. Now there's a lot of different ways to shade. I kind of like starting from the bottom edge, and I'm not pressing that dark yet. I'm going to build up my tone. You can notice I'm using the side of the pencil, and I'm kind of like going back and forth. You can do small circles if you want. And what you need to do is you need to apply different amount of pressure to different parts of the shape, or the form rather. So you'll see here, this bottom part's going to be the darkest, so I'm pressing a little bit lighter here. Notice I'm going back and forth over it again, building up the tone. I'm not pressing really hard right away. I'm doing a medium pressure, and I'm just going over it more than once. Now, before I continue, since I've shown you this highlight, I'm going to erase the bands, because you really don't want to see these lines too much. All right, so this is good for part one. Now I'm going to take a pause and use my blending stick to start, or my stump to start blending it together. I find it works well to just do small little circles as you blend. Kind of helps fill out all the little crevices in your paper. And don't worry if you get too dark in any spots. We'll be using the eraser to bring out the highlights even more. Another trick I like to do is I like to shade it in the direction of the curve of the shape itself. So when you're doing a round object, you want to think about that. All right. Again, if you find it better, use your finger or a tissue. I like to wrap the tissue around my finger. All right. So as you're shading, you may notice you get outside the lines that you mean to. And that's okay. You can just use your eraser to sort of fix the edges very easily. Okay, so we have my light source. I tried to keep that as light as possible, but you can use your eraser lightly to sort of bring it back out again. And there you have it. Now, there's a couple other terms in shading that you need to be aware of. There's something called the core shadow, which is going to be the darkest part. So I'm going to say it's kind of around here. So I'm going to mark that off. So you have your core shadow. There's something called the half tone, or the spot in the object that's sort of like the half level of darkness or gray that you would want it to be. So for me, it's going to be sort of right in here. So then I have my half tone. Okay, now we're going to start working on the cast shadow, which is the shadow that comes off the object. So if my light source is coming one way from the top right, the shadow coming off the object should be on the bottom left. So I'm going to apply that now. I'm going to do a very, very light oval shape. You don't want to see the outline in this thing, but I'm just kind of blocking it out for you. All right, so when shading the cast shadow, it's going to be darkest where the shadow meets the object. So I'm going to press a little bit harder here on the edge. Again, I'm going to kind of just go back and forth with it. And I'm going to just start pressing lighter the further out I get. So like that. I'm going to build it up again, go over it another time. It's not just a one-time deal. You want to go over it a couple of times to sort of blend out your tones. There you have it. I'm going to use my blending stick to sort of darken some areas. Don't worry if you go outside your initial outline like I'm doing, that's perfectly fine. Use my finger to sort of blend it out even more. Okay, so we're still working away at this thing. Another thing I want to talk about as well, so this is going to be my cast shadow, is something called reflected light. So if light is coming from the top downward, hitting the sphere about here, that same light is going to be coming from other parts of your light source past the sphere. So it's going to be coming this way, sort of bouncing off the table or whatever surface this object's on, and bouncing back and hitting this bottom left a tiny bit. So you may see it be a little bit lighter in this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my eraser and sort of just lighten it up a little bit. Blend it out. Go back over it again. So I start with my core shadow to be the darkest part. This here is reflected light. All right. Just want to look over your sphere one more time. Is there anything you need to fix or adjust? Any sort of highlights you want to bring out? Do you want to clean up the edges again? But if not, there you have it. This is a three-dimensional looking sphere with some tonal shading using a sketching pencil, a blending stick, my own finger, a tissue, and an eraser. Feel free to try this out yourself. In other videos, I'll show you how to shade different forms. I'll also show you some different ways to apply depth and shading using different methods. All right, I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with.